Good evening, everyone. I'm going to make a really quick video. I had another dream last night, and so I want to read what the dream was. And I titled this, Men in Dark Suits Want the Inheritance and the Extra Oil Revives. So I had a dream last night, which today in Gregorian time is September 10, 2019. So the day starts at evening, so it had already started. So this is what I'm going to read. It says, I had a dream last night, and there were things that happened before this, but I cannot remember. So my dream started, but the only part that I'm remembering is what I'm going to tell you right now. It says, someone died. That was in the part that I can't really remember. And these men came in dark suits to take the inheritance and possession. And then in the dream, we're in a car. It's a large blackish gray car, kind of like, you know, old Lincolns or big old Cadillacs, a very huge car. And there was a middle seat and then a way back seat, kind of like station wagons had an extra seat. Well, this wasn't a station wagon, but it had another seat. And there was men in the middle seat and men in the back seat. And me and my husband were in the front seat. And we were going pretty fast. And then these men were like, their faces were stern. But we were in the car and they were taking us somewhere. Then all of a sudden it came to me and I said, no, give us your information and your lawyers, and you're the ones who are going to need lawyers. So we wanted all their information. So I just said no. And we were in the front seat and we stopped the car from continuing on. Okay. So you know how dreams, things happen that wouldn't happen in normal life. So here we are in the car and they're telling us, but we're the ones driving. So I'll explain that in a little bit. So the next thing is we next got in another car and they tried to speed off in their car, and their car hit, the back of their car hit our car, the door. The car we were in was a large yellow car. So their rear end made a large dent, but it did not affect our being able to drive the car. Next thing that I remember is we were in a house and it was like old, and we were on the inside and it was dark, old, unkept. In the inside it was a trailer house, long and a bit dark. And I asked Trish if she had cleaned it and she said no. Something to the effect that she like spot cleaned it. But it was dirty. And her mom was sick and dying. And she was going around pointing and saying, give this to this person. And she was saying the names, but I don't remember the names. And give this, and she would point to something and say, give this to so-and-so, give this to so-and-so. And Trish was crying because she was in denial that her mom was dying. But her mom was so skinny and frail and weak, and it was obvious she was dying. Now in my dream, I have this person named Trish that I know, but I haven't seen her in years, so she's just, you know how dreams are, you just put a person there. Anyway, in the bedroom, these men came back to talk to us and said, let's pray. So we started to, but just before, I remembered there had been a thick ribbonish rope that I had put between us and the men previously. So somehow in the dream I remember, oh yeah, remember that rope that I put across that said you could go no further? And it was like a flat ribbonish rope, and it had like darkish color, pinkish red, and then white, and then pinkish red. So it would just go pinkish red, white, like that. And it was in my dream, I'm remembering that I had put that between us and it stopped them from coming further close to us. And so I reminded them in the dream, remember that ribbon? or rope, ribbonish rope that I had put between us and the men. And I told them that they can come past that ribbon, and the rope was as far as they could go. Well, right when we were about to pray, I remembered the rope. And the men said, yes, they know about that rope. I said, do you remember the rope? And they said, yeah. Okay. So as we were beginning to pray, we got up, interrupting the prayer as not to pray with them. And Alan stepped out to outside of that room to the next room towards the wall, and he was leaning up against the wall. And when I followed him, I was like, Alan, where are you going? What's going on? And he started to try to mouth me something. Like, he was starting to get like really weak, and he was like trying to say something, but he was losing his strength and started slowly going, his body started slowly sliding down, going down to the ground. Then he was laying on the ground with no strength. So I ran to another room and I was in my head like, I got to get olive oil. So I went and got some olive oil, and I mixed it in a little bit of water, and because I knew he couldn't just gulp down the oil, so I mixed a little bit of water, and I started giving it to him, and he was drinking. He could just barely drink a little bit. So he started to revive a little bit, and I gave him a sip, and it helped him. And the next thing he said was 5 grams. And I ran back to the oil and didn't really know how much 5 grams were, so I put in 5 measures of oil, brought it back to him, and I gave it to him, and he started drinking it, and he started getting better. Later, when I was asleep, I recalled, like, oh yeah, what was that dream I just had? Like, I'm still asleep, but I'm thinking about, what was that dream? And so I've only remembered what I'm relaying here. And right before I woke up this morning, down here in my view, I saw in my sight, it said September 13, 20, and then I can't make out those last 2 numbers. So 2019, 2020, I don't know. So that is my dream. Now I'm going to tell you, what does it mean? Okay, so here it is. The men represent the SDA leaders that are Jesuits, and they want the inheritance. Now, we've been studying a lot lately about the Jubilee and the land and the inheritance of Yah's children and what they get. And so here these Jesuits, they want the inheritance, which that's what the Catholic Church has control of right now, is all the lands, and they say they own this and that and the other, and then all the elites are under them, and they also get parts of the land. So okay, so this is what my dream means, that these Jesuits want the inheritance, the land, the rights, and the kingdom. They don't want to give it up. So this person dies, and they come to get the inheritance, okay? But I told them, no, you better get lawyers. And realizing at that moment that, wait a minute, stop, we're in the driver's seat. So my dream is saying, no, you guys have to get lawyers, because you're not going to be able to keep the land or the inheritance. This is what I'm explaining to you, what the dream means, okay? So this is not still in the dream, it's me telling you what the dream means. So the sick, frail mother represents the SDA church, because she's the mother church to our movement. Then thereafter, SDA was the VT Hadif movement, and then Johnson, and now today it's the Sharon, Yasharon, the flock of Sharon, or Moses was king in Jeshurun. So that's the original name of Jacob, was turned to Yasharon. Okay, so the sick, frail mother represents the SDA church. She's frail because the Jesuits changed their beliefs, their religion. They turned the truth into error. They no longer have truth. So the truth is what made the SDA church strong, and truth makes you strong. And so it's showing the SDA church is so frail because they have no truth. It's changed it all. And I know a lot of people who are still in the SDA truth think, we have the truth, we have all this truth. The Jesuits have changed the religion, and you need to look into that. There's a lot of apostasy. So if you don't have the basis of a religion saying that there's only one Yah, when you've changed it over to 3 gods in the Trinity, read the Trinity doctrine in the SDA manual. It's talking about 3 gods in one and 1 God in 3. So that's the main thing in Yah's telling us, "Hear, O Israel, the Yah thy Yel is one Yah." And I heard Mark Finley explaining this the other day, and he's reading from the New King James Version, and he says, which the New King James Version is not based on the King James Bible. It is on so the King James Version is based on the, what is it called? The Catholic version is the Latin Vulgate, and the King James Version is the, I can't think of it right now. For some reason I'm wanting to say the Sefer Yara, but it's okay, we'll go on, because I wasn't going to say that. I should have looked it up. But anyway, there are 2 different scrolls, and the Dead Sea Scrolls that the King James Version is on is the correct one, and the Latin Vulgate is a Catholic version, and that's in the 1990s. SDA changed from using the King James to the Catholic's Latin Vulgate. So when you do that and you read from it constantly, you keep reading from the New King James Version, you're getting an evil spirit. So you're getting error. And so the SDA Church changed over to that Bible. They took the Trinity. They believe in the Eucharist, which is a Catholic doctrine, which they didn't believe in before. So this church has become frail. They can't give their people any truth. So that's what this mother, the mother church has daughters, and the mother is frail. Okay, so in my dream it's telling me this. So why is it that I'm having a dream and I go to this place and it's like a trailer house, a trailer? It's because the trailer is the SDA church, which means it's a temporary building that's falling apart. It has no foundation, because a trailer, not to put down trailers, but they don't last very long. They have no foundation. They're like on wheels. Anyway, this trailer specifically here was dirtied up and old and like brittle, and it was dirtied up with false doctrine. So that's become, the trailer also is important, that this is where we went to. So what does the dark pinkish white robe ribbon that I put and said they can go no further, and then I remembered about that and said, remember that. In other words, you can't touch us. And that ribbon represents the blood of sprinkling. So our high priest sprinkles blood on our account if we are confessing at the feast times and the daily, which we have studies on these things if you don't know what this means. But so it represents the blood, and the white represents pure truth and righteousness. Okay, so the righteousness of saints is the fine linen, clean and white. So the white is righteousness. So I put that, and it's a hedge of protection. Nobody can hurt you, and you can have safety when you're keeping the law of Moses. So this is, the law of Moses has the blood of sprinkling in it, and it talks about how to become righteous. So because we keep the law of Moses and we don't believe the Catholic doctrine that the law was nailed to the cross the way SDA has started to believe, and they believe that now. So they're such a frail church, they have no foundation. So they're falling apart. And these men are coming because they want the inheritance that is in the law of Moses, but they tell you that the law of Moses is abolished. So there, you can't have both ways. Ellen G. White says, I think it's page, might be 32, it says, then commences the Jubilee. So she talks about all these events, and then she says, then commences the Jubilee. And when you look up the Jubilee, it's in Leviticus, it's in the law, it's in the book of the law. So this ribbon that's protecting us is the truth. And SDA is frail because they don't have the truth, but they're evil men, the Jesuits, who want to come after us because we're teaching truths. I mean, we have people that want to arrest us sometimes they don't have the truth, so all they can do is strong arm you with the law, meaning, you know, police. They say they're going to call the police on us. And so this ribbon is protecting us from the evil ones, and it will protect you. This ribbon, which represents the blood of sprinkling and the pure truth, it will protect you from evil ones. And they can only go so far, and they know it. It's like the satanic agencies know they can't do anything to you because you keep the law. And so next thing, we were in a yellow car where they hit us on the side, and the yellow is representing that we have the oil. Well, and that's what the oil in the parable of the 10 virgins. There's 5 wise and 5 foolish, and the foolish ones ran out of oil. So the yellow is saying that we were in the car with the oil, and then when Alan was drinking the oil revived him. And so Alan losing his strength represents the 144,000 that are coming out of SDA. They're weak and frail, and they need the oil. They need the extra oil to live and to be revived. And while he was going down, he said 5 grams. And so what that represents in my dream is the 5 angels' messages. The SDA church says they have 3 angels' messages, but the Bible says there's 5. And Word to the Little Flock, page 11, by Ellen G. White and James White, it says there's 5 angels' messages, yet the church says we only have 3. So that is the representation of the dream, and basically what it comes down to is that the men in dark suits want to keep their power, and we're saying no, you can't have the power, you can't have the inheritance, you're not going to have the Jubilee because you don't believe in the law. And the extra oil, knowing all these truths, is what revives the 144,000. They don't stay weak. They get this oil for nourishment. And so that was my dream last night. And it turned out this morning I got really, really, really tired. So tired I had to just go lay down and sleep. And I actually had a couple of other things flash in my mind. And one of them was something I'm probably not going to talk about right here. I'll see what happens with it. But I had like 4 flashes of pictures while I went to sleep, and as I was waking up I saw the flash. And it was just a moment, but you could see a scene. And then another time I was getting up to wake up, I got another flash. So I got 4 flashes this afternoon of it's just like a still, like a painting. It's just a type, and it might have to do with that September 13th that I saw. Now September 13th is not the solemn assembly. Starts the Feast of Tabernacles. So it was weird that I saw that down there, and that's the day of the Feast of Tabernacles starts. So we'll keep you updated. I just wanted to tell you that the inheritance goes to Yah's people. In fact, I have a quote. Let me get to it from Leviticus. I think it's in Leviticus 25. Maybe not. Let me see. Let me go here. I like it when I accidentally click on something. Okay. Leviticus 26:42, it says, "Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land." So we get the land. We inherit the land, which is the land of Israel, and it spreads out. And then in Jeremiah 33:11 it says, "The voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride." See, we're coming upon this wedding. "The voice of them shall say, Praise the Yah of hosts, for the Yah is good, for his mercy endureth forever. And of them that shall bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of the Yah, for I will cause to return the captivity of the land as at the first, saith the Yah." And we read something in Ellen G. White's writings, kind of talking about that at a certain time, which we believe it to be the Jubilee, which Jubilee means flowing water, flowing water, so showers of blessing from the Yah, because his presence will be here. But Ellen G. White talks about that what we get is even better than what was originally planned for us in the Garden of Eden. So maybe next time I will read that quote. Let me write myself a note. So I wanted to end here because it's actually getting dark and I don't have any light to continue filming. So may you be blessed, and maybe you go over this dream, and if you'd like a copy of it, I could always send a copy of it written out. But it's just letting us know that the inheritance doesn't go to the Jesuits. It doesn't belong to the Catholic Church. And it doesn't matter if they come after us. They can't touch us. So thank you for listening to this video, and we hope that Yah blesses you. Thank you.